self-defense with sticks or fighting with sticks, self-defense with a fighting stick, in this case, the collie stick. We're going to talk about a couple of different versions of the stick. And this technique or this class, this thing that we're working with together, is all about learning principles and not necessarily techniques. Now, you need some techniques. So we're going to go over some basic techniques, strikes that you can do, jabs that you can do, things that you can do very quickly from the first day you pick up a fighting stick. But we're going to talk more importantly about the principles of fighting with a stick, especially against a violent assault, somebody who has a knife or another weapon, maybe even a skateboard, or somebody, a bigger opponent, someone, good morning, who multiple attackers, more than one person. So we're going to talk about principles of self-defense using a stick, a fighting stick, real quick, basic techniques that you can use and you can pick up very quickly. Now, some of them come from they all come from different styles of martial arts, right? There's only so many ways that you can use a stick. Some come from Kali or Eskrima Arnis. The Filipino styles we're going to talk about. I've been starting to add in some of the Irish stick fighting techniques, and then other things come from things like the Hapkido cane or the self-defense cane, the martial arts cane. So we're going to talk about basics, fundamentals first, self-defense, using a stick or stick self-defense, stick fighting techniques, because you can pick these up anywhere. And we're going to talk about how to find a version of a stick if you need to in a crisis situation. So when stuff hits the fan, as they say in the prepper world, and you need to pick up something to defend yourself, there's a crazy mob coming down the street or a bunch of punk kids coming around harassing people because they have different political views or whatever the reason is. We're talking about those Antifa thugs, or we're talking about, what do they call them, the anarchists. They're walking around with their skateboards, and maybe they've got a knife. And that's where I want to start. So with the knife, we have this butterfly knife. It has a nice long blade. The handle's kind of long. And however this is held by an assailant, by an attacker, by somebody who means to do you harm, either to stab you with it, slash you with it, slice you, or just intimidate you and take away your freedom to move about the day, move about your life, unencumbered by the fear of some punk with a knife. I wanted to show you this. Reach advantage. You immediately have a reach advantage. Number two, the wood. In this case, it's wood. Your stick might be made out of metal. Your stick might be plastic. Your stick might be a pipe. You might pick up a tree branch. Sticks are everywhere, and that's why I love stick fighting for self-defense. But it doesn't bleed. They've got a knife. You've got a stick. You have your, you don't know how many, Sensei Emmett, how many comments I got this week on this channel about bow staff, Joe. I know it's not bow staff, it's bow, Joe, the martial arts long staff, Kali, even the katana and the, what's the other one? Lightsaber. Everybody's using the wrapping paper tubes. And some of them are real flimsy, and some of them you can do a little bit of damage with. But the point is, and that's the fun part of it, right? The realistic part. There was a suicide bombing this weekend in the United States in Nashville, Tennessee. They're still not sure what well, they haven't told us anyway. Haven't told us all of the details. Doesn't really matter if you weren't there. They'll figure it out. The point is, if you were there, if it was more than just that, some of the attacks that have happened in Europe, especially recently, where someone comes out, and what are they coming out with? These, and in that case, they're not anarchists. It's more of a religious thing. They're carrying a knife, and then they're attacking, and they're killing, and they're harming so many innocent people. And if you happen to be in one of those situations, I want you to be able to pick up a stick, any kind of stick, anything that's longer than your hand, anything that's harder and doesn't bleed like your hand, like your skin would. And then you're going to strike with it. I'm going to show you those basic strikes. But first, like I said, I want to talk about principles. First principles of any self-defense is always going to be situational awareness, what's happening right now around you, paying attention before, like we said before earlier, when the stuff hits the fan. And I'm trying to keep it, the language correct for in case anybody younger watches this, but you shouldn't. Martial arts was originally made for adults, right? But when stuff hits the fan and you have to pick up a weapon to defend yourself, and the only thing that's there is a stick, you have picked up probably the best weapon that you can have that's not a gun for self-defense, right? So you have a stick, they've got a knife, you've got reach advantage. So that's number one. First principle, pay attention to what's happening around you. Number two, get in a better position, which means in this case, put the stick between you and the threat. Super simple. Self-defense has to be simple for you to remember it, for you to be able to use it immediately. Standing between you and the threat, you and that sharp knife, no matter how long it is, no matter how sharp it is going to be this stick. And again, like I said, the stick could be anything. It could be a tree branch. And I'm going to show you right from the start a modified stick. The first one, version of it, this Survivors magazine. And what you do is you pick up any magazine, newspaper, and you fold it, stack of papers as tightly as you can. Yes, the longer it is, the better. But this is still very effective. And I want you to hear that when I strike with it, and I jab with it, and I use the back end to stab, to bring it in, I have a lot of power. I can bring that hooking in. I can even punch, bringing this through, striking that into your face, striking that in. If you have that knife in the hand and all you have is this, it's not as long as I like. I like this for length. I like that cane for length even more. I like a bow staff, a bow, a martial arts long stick for reach. The longer the better. When you have something sharp in your hand, you mean to hurt me with it. For the bad guy, not you. You know what I'm talking about, right? The threat has a knife, a bladed weapon, or maybe they have a blunt object. They're swinging a baseball bat. They're swinging a golf club. They're swinging that skateboard. I want to be able to hit them first. I'm not necessarily going to block. You can do all of your blocks and strikes, but I like to hit the arm that's carrying that weapon. So you're going to go for that, or you're going to go from here. Close distance very quickly. The worst thing you can do when someone's swinging a weapon at you is to back up. Because when you back up, you give them all of the power of the weapon. The highest concentration of power is right here. Most devastation comes from right here. That tip has the most power. My arm right here has the least. So you get in your better position first. They have a weapon, you don't. Your hands are up and open. They come for that swing. You're going to go straight in. And as you're going in, I don't know how to say this with the most emphasis that I possibly can. You're going to just destroy every target you possibly can. They pull out that weapon. They have either a knife or whatever it is, and your hands are here, and they go to swing, you back up. Worst thing you can do. They go to swing, you immediately close the distance. Close with and destroy. That's what I'm looking for. You're going to go in with violence of action. You're going to come from here. They're coming in. You're coming as fast as you can, and you're hitting with everything. Knees, elbows, the head, elbow coming up, palm coming forward. Everything you can is immediate, direct, and explosive. That's a principle of self-defense. Immediate, direct, explosive. They have a weapon and you don't. But let me pick up mine. They have a knife. You have a stick. I want you to learn basic technique now. So principle number one, situational awareness. See it before it happens. Number two, get in a better position. The weapon between you and the threat. And see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to make you look around my weapon to try to get me. I want to interrupt your line of sight and interrupt your pattern of behavior. So from here, you're not going to stab my stick. You're going to try to get me. So you've got to get around my stick. As you're getting around it, I'm going to strike. Now I want you to learn just 3 techniques with this today. And I want you to apply it to any stick you can find. This is your homework. You're going to look for sticks over the next couple days. Maybe you're in level 5, tier 5, I heard it was. I watched Brian Rose again. Brian Rose in London, they're in tier 4, shut down. Sensei Emmett, go check out his channel if you haven't done so already. Sensei Emmett's in tier 5 in Ireland. You're not going anywhere in tier 5, I'm guessing. I would imagine, right? Emmett, you're not going anywhere. But from here, this is time to practice. Prepare or panic. Prepare or perish. Prepare now when you have nothing else to do, but practice, practice, practice. 3 techniques, 3 strikes. From here, number 1 is coming from the shoulder and out. It's not big here. It's not wide here. It's from here, straight through. I'm going to bring it straight through here, and I'm going to bring it back. 1, 2. That's the first 2. I want you to just practice. 1, 2. Can't get more simple than that. And you'll get better at it when you keep it tight. 1, 2, 1, 2. Keep it tight. Meaning, fight from behind your stick. Now, let me show you another improvised stick. And this one seems super corny at first, unless you're a kung fu person or you love the what is it? The Naruto. I'm not intentionally mispronouncing it. I don't have like the Japanese accent going. They've got a knife. You've got a tessin. There it is. Or a Kung Fu fighting fan. The ninja, they call it the tessin, the Japanese word. It's the fighting fan. Kung Fu guys, Kung Fu fighting fan. Pop it open, and then la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di dance. I'm just having fun. I'm not making fun, I'm having fun. Pop it open, fan yourself, cool yourself down. But when it's closed, this hard bamboo, I've never counted them. This is funny. I just thought I've never counted. You can count. Go ahead, count how many spines. All those spines closed. Squeeze very tightly from here. It hits hard. It hits fast. That knife's in the hand. You'd rather hit the knife with the Kung Fu fighting for the tessin. It's going to score it up. Going to cut through and not going to bleed. This is even worse. Backside bad. The inside 10 times worse. This part of the body, a million times worse, right? It's been a long time since I've done that with the left hand. They have a knife. All you have is a Kung Fu fighting fan. That's okay. Again, it seems cheesy on the surface because you're like, oh, that's a dance move. That's a dance thing. But it isn't really. If you think about what it is, it's an improvised stick. It's a fighting weapon. You have it in this position, 1, 2, 1, 2. I want to show you the third technique. From here, I want you to come straight into their face. From here, straight. See that part right there? Throat. Here's another principle of self-defense. Number 1, situational awareness. It's happening. Number 2, better position. The weapon between you and the threat. Number 3, what are the targets you can remove or destroy? Remove their ability to see you right in the eyes, to breathe temporarily through their nose and their mouth, break the teeth down their throat, smash their nose in this big squishy mess, right? Or the throat, permanent inability to breathe. They're expired for self-defense. It's a real technique, right into the middle of the chest. Even though the sternum there, that bone's not gonna break, but that hurts, man. All those nerves firing there. Or right here, knock it, hit them right in the solar plexus. They can't breathe, they can't catch their breath. Coming through, breaking the ribs, right? Smashing into the nerves in the arms. It's for self-defense. Coming through right to the side, hit the temple, hit the ear, all with that. It's a very powerful move. Think of it as push-ups. By the way, do some push-ups. And don't wait till the new year. Don't start making resolutions. Hey, I'm gonna do 10 push-ups a day starting 2021. If that's your goal, do them right now. From here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I'm about to make a hole in that bag. That hits so hard and so fast. Can you do that with this? Absolutely. Can you do it with the collie stick, the Eskrima Arnis stick? We know you can, and we were just doing it with that rolled up newspaper, the rolled up magazine. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now I want you to practice basic techniques. There are a million more things that you're gonna learn how to do to strike with, right? You can learn all of the intricate styles of the martial arts. Hit them first. Did I say that right? Your whole body. Let's say the attack is coming to your head. Weapon or no weapon. All you have are your hands. And you got in your guard because self-defense is not just with the stick. Self-defense principles are always the same. Number 1, pay attention. What's happening? Where's the threat coming from? Hopefully you'll see it and you'll get out of there before you have to take your life into your own hands, which you have to do. You're your own bodyguard. You're your own first responder in many cases. Don't wait for someone to help you. Help yourself. You have to get in a better position. Your hands in this case between you and the threat. If you have a stick, that's better. This is stick self-defense, stick fighting, right? Self-defense with a stick. But let's say you have nothing between you and them. 3, what are the targets you can remove or destroy? If you're face to face, you see them here, maybe it's their eyes, right? And then you go first. As soon as you know you have to, then you go first. You don't wait for that knife to come and go into your body. Yes, amen. Thank you, Sensei. From here, bam, from 1, 2. From here, elbow, that front elbow, that back elbow, up and in, that knee to the body. The rest of the techniques don't really matter. How do you defend your whole body? You get in a better position. Maybe it's that, see if you can see my feet, that kick where I'm coming up and in. And his focus is here. He's got that knife, he's swinging, bam, I just smash. And here, that puts him down, bam, strike, elbow. Immediate direct explosive, using violence for self-defense. That's your goal. This is not this is not karate kitty karate, playing karate, whatever it's called. This is not Taekwondo front foot fencing at the WTF and the Kukiwan and Gangnam Pro. It's not fancy fighting. It's self-defense. It's got to work. It's got to be practical. It's got to be immediate, direct, and explosive. Principles over techniques. What's the principle? Doesn't matter. You have a frying pan in your hand, right? Like it's almost like a movie. It sounds like a joke, but it's not. Whatever you have that you can use for self-defense, you use it. Let's get back to the stick. 3 techniques. Practice. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. Mix up 3. Only 3 techniques. That's what I want you to work on in this workout, and then make yourself sweat. Burn your shoulders and your arms out. Don't look for 10, 12, 15 techniques. Master 3. Think of an X. There's the X. There's the X. This is one technique. This is another technique. And you don't even have to number them 1, 2, 3, because I don't want you to think one's more, that like 1 is higher than 2 or 2 is higher than, it's not. It's just 3 different techniques. And then think of levels. Those are legs. That's the groin. That's the solar plexus. And it's just those 3 basic techniques. Yeah, Karate Kid, right? Remember in the original Karate Kid movies, the Cobra Kai guys were a bunch of jerks. And now in the new one, they've turned them into, they flipped it around. I think it's really smart how they did that. It's kind of fun to think about, maybe Daniel's really the bully. Who knows? Who's watching this? I've only seen the first season. Everybody keeps telling me about the rest of them. They're pretty good. But yeah, those are called platitudes. Strike first, strike hard. Fear doesn't exist in this dojo, does it? No, sensei. Ridiculousness, just silliness. But there's some truth in everything. So you need to become the master of flexibility. Not so much flexibility that you can't defend yourself, because that's Tai Chi flexibility. No offense to Tai Chi, but you know what I'm saying. You have to be able to defend yourself. Yeah, not in a while. But if sometimes somebody will leave a comment every once in a while, I think, man, I wish they would come down here and spar with me. And I'm not kidding. But no, I seek it out. I love to. As soon as this COVID lets up, or I can travel, or I'm starting to make some money again, because part of it, is that they've shut us down, and it's hard to pay the bills. So I'm not traveling as much. I'm not complaining at all. I'm just saying those are my realities. But I love to mix it up. I love to spar with and boxing. I love to spar like a little Muay Thai kickboxing. I like to do jujitsu, because I'm not that great at jujitsu. I used to do a lot of judo when I was younger, and I wrestled in school, and I've done a lot of jujitsu, but I could get a lot better. And so I seek those out. I look for those. Yeah. Great Christmas. I hope you also had a great Christmas. Back to the stick. Master 3 techniques first. Get really good at 1, 2, 3. And then mix it up. Start 3, 2, 1. And then mix it up again. 1, 3, 2. You get the point, right? 2, 3, 1. And then over and over and over, and go on and on and on. Yeah, well, I'm probably half as, this is a true story. I had this kid I used to spar with when I was younger. He was world champion, and I didn't spar with him a lot. I learned from him. I was more of a student, and he was already at the top of his game. His brother was in the Olympic team in 1988. They were both amazing fighters. You'd spar with those kids growing up. And fast forward years later, we all have schools, martial arts schools. We're all taking kids to tournaments. And he says, we're all sitting there, all of us instructors, masters, whatever we are. And we're all sitting there, and he says, hey, I'm going to enter this tournament. I don't think the kids today are as good as we used to be. And we all sat there and said, you know what? You're right. You're so right. They're not even 10% as good. That's not fighting what they're doing now. You'd clean up. You should do it. And, oh, welcome to the stream. And so anyway, so this is a tournament. This has got to be 15 years ago still. So we were probably like in our 30s, you know. And you know, it's what happens when you get in your 30s. You're approaching 40s and you're like, I bet I still got it. And so he suited up. And we're all thinking, you know, we all still train. We all still train our students. We all had students there competing. And we knew if nothing else, we're not going to get knocked out, right? Because once you get to a certain age, you know timing and distance and how mostly not to get knocked out. And he gets out there, man. And I know we were all thinking, and I was thinking it. Everybody with us was thinking it. And he said it when he got out. We were thinking, where did the speed go? When he was younger, man, he moved so fast, and he still had every move. And he still had all the perfect timing and distance, but his speed, it was like he was moving in slow motion. And I've seen myself fight. This is because you said you'd like to see me fight. I'll bet I look like I'm moving in slow motion. I might be doing all the right moves, and man, if I make a connection, if I connect, I know I still got a lot of power, but I've probably given up a lot of speed. And that's where with age you get timing and distance and experience and wisdom. But you don't have the speed of the 19-year-old kid. You just don't. You don't. And you don't get it back. You can stay quick. You can move fast. And like I said, timing and distance. But it's just a reality. We all like to kid ourselves and think that we couldn't. But that's like a Bill Superfoot Wallace who lives down the street. Some of you guys know Bill Superfoot Wallace. Bill Wallace, working out in the same gym that I was working out in, working out the same ring. I had my boxing coach, my Cuban boxing coach. He's teaching me how to box better. And this old guy gets up and he said, hey, man, you mind if I get a corner? It was Bill Superfoot Wallace himself, the Superfoot himself. He gets in the corner. He's not a Jesse. And he's in there. It was for Sensei Emmett. But he's in there and he's moving around. And he's like 76. And I said to him after, I said, man, you still got it, you know. I said, you're like a muscle car from the 60s, like a 60s Corvette or a 59 Corvette. Super cool, super fast for a short distance. And powerful. Yeah, I do have the iron fist. How'd you know? And but he's like a Corvette. He's like really cool. But you know, like an old Corvette, you might take it to the track, you do a couple things, but then you got to replace like, you know, half of the parts on the car because they got, you know, it's too much stress or whatever. And that happens. It happens with age. You still have it in short bursts. There are no trade secrets. There are none. I'm going to say that I know I told Sensei Emmett this when he talked to me. He did an interview with me a week ago. I was all over the place like I am now. And I said, there's no secret. There are no martial arts secret. I was talking about that George Dillman down in Texas with the dim mock, the death touch. And he goes, and he puffs the guy, and the guy goes flying back, and they all seem to fly back to some way. They're coming in with this big, wide, weird punch that no one would ever throw in a real fight. And then the fake phony kung fu master or karate master goes and does the fake dim mock touch of death. And the guy goes flying back like this, and he hits the ground and he rolls into the wall. You've seen this, some of you, if you haven't seen it, go look up fake martial arts. George Dillman, dim mock. Just look up dim mock. You'll see all kinds of it. I forgot the trade secrets. So guys like that, right? And then even some schools where they're like, oh, we're you know, only our style is the best style. They never go to tournaments. So that they don't get tested. And their own students don't see that even though the master tells them that they're the best in the world, like some kind of special church, those 13 Pentecostals are going to heaven. That's going to be a lonely place up there, by the way, if that's true. And it's not. Just in case you were worried. But that's the same thing with martial arts. And you know, there are no secret techniques. We're not holding anything back. I don't know anything that you can't find out. I may have trained longer. I may have thrown 1 million, and no exaggeration, more kicks than you have. And maybe not. Maybe you've thrown more than me. I may have punched the makiwara more, and I may have learned with more humility, and sometimes less, than other people have from different instructors. But good. Yeah. Show respect to your father. Listen to your dad. He's older than you. He knows more. and you're going to know more than he does later if he's a good dad. He knows that. That's why he's sparring with you now. Anyway, but, God bless them. Thank you for good fathers taking care of their kids. And I don't mean just, taking them, changing their nappy. I'm talking about like sparring with them in the garage, or the backyard, or the living room, so that they can learn how to defend themselves and they can learn how to speak up for themselves and say, you don't have to like me, but yeah, it's like he plays chess with you. He's not going to let you win chess. The best fighters are the ones who lose all the time first, and then they slowly learn how to win. The best fighters are not the ones who win all the time. That's what's wrong with the whole generation. We know that. We talk about that all the time. We had millennials, then we had Gen Zers, millennials, Gen Yers. I don't know what it's called, right? Whoever they are now. And then you give them all a trophy. They're all winners. And then they face real adversity and they crumble and they're shocked. And they're like, oh, I thought I was brilliant and wonderful and I could do no wrong. You're like, no, you're like everybody else. They lied to you. Anyway, fake martial arts, secret martial arts, there are no secrets. I don't care who it is and what they're trying to teach you. There's no secrets. And you learn that when it gets distilled and the distillation process comes down. And what I mean is like all of the theory, and then there's practice, and then there's effort. But then there's competition. Boxing is great for this, Western boxing, because from the beginning, it's you and another person, and you have training partners. And you're going to hit the bag. You're going to jump the rope, right? You're going to skip and do all the fancy stuff like Mike Tyson. And then you're going to hit the different kinds of bags. And then you're going to hit the speed bag. And if you have a good coach, you're working footwork and you're working, and you spend hours now. But eventually, there's another person, a human being standing in front of you. He's got a helmet, you got a helmet. You're both wearing gloves. Bam, bam, bam. And that first time you get hit, you're like, oh, it's no longer theory. It's no longer, because you can stay, even here, this is still theory. But when you do this and then there's a punch coming back and it hits you, that it's no longer theory. It's reality. And you need reality in your training. And if you don't spar, this is why I said, yeah, I love to spar. And if you don't spar and you don't get hit, it's all theory. I don't care. You can hit that. You can hit the makiwara, the traditional, thing to make your knuckles big and strong. You can have all the sticks, all the weapons in the world, learn how to do all the tricks in the world. You can learn the wushu, fly and flip and spin. You can learn the 1-inch punch, the Wing Chun, right? You can do the hubad lubad. Learn anything and everything. There's no secret. This is my point. Because you get in that ring and it's you against another person. And there are only so many things you can do. You can punch, you can kick, you can elbow, you can knee, you can even headbutt. And then you grapple, right? And when you grapple, you've got only so many things that you do when you're standing and then when you're on the ground. So you have to learn those basics. And then as soon as you can, and not in a stupid way, not in a back alley way, don't go looking for fights, but in a smart way with a good, smart training partner who's also trying to grow and learn how to use control when you hit for self-defense, or you'll probably never use it, and then learn how to take a hit and how to bob and weave and build timing and distance. And then you truly grow. But you don't grow outside of or inside of your comfort zone. When the punch is coming, bam, bam, and it gets through every once in a while, and your head hurts a little after, and your jaw hurts a little after, and you see stars a couple times, and you have to move, and your arms hurt, and you're tired, or it's grappling on the ground, and you're sucking wind, and your elbows tender, and your knees tender because of another person. That's when you grow. That's outside of the comfort zone. That's why I'm always saying there's no growth in the comfort zone. So get out of the comfort zone and grow. It's hard when you're virtual, right? But there's still things you can do. You can still, pick up a jump rope, jump the rope for 10 minutes and go. And if you're not good at it, do it for however long you can go for 10 seconds at a time. And then hit the deck. That's Marine Corps talk for the ground or Navy talk. Get on the ground and start pushing. And if you're not good at push-ups yet, do sets of 5. And then when you're tired, do more. And do a few more. And when you feel like you can't do anymore, do a few more. It'll simulate being out of your comfort zone. It won't be the same as getting punched in the face, but it'll be better than nothing. So do that while you're in tier 5 shutdown or whatever it is, and get your moving going. Learn how to fight with a stick. Let's review the stick real quick. I think I showed you all. The last stick, my favorite for self-defense because you can carry it anywhere and everywhere, is just the everyday walking cane. And you have same thing, those basic strikes. And then you have a bunch of extra features, like rake that across their face, jab that into their back, pull them down with it. And it's hard. It's gonna break bones more than the collie stick. But the collie stick is still gonna do a lot of damage, especially when you bring it in that way to the face. Collie, Eskrima, or Arnis, it's just a stick. Think of it, there's like everything else. Martial arts, there's martial arts and there's self-defense. There's boxing and self-defense. Is boxing good for self-defense? Yes. The techniques are timing and distance, the way it conditions your body, ability to take a punch. Is it self-defense? No, boxing is a sport. Boxing is boxing. Is martial arts self-defense? No. Can you use parts of it for self-defense? Yes. But is it only, it's not self-defense. So sticks, same way. There's collie, Eskrima, you know, where there's different techniques. There's Sinawali, and there are all kinds of, you know, fancy things that you can do that are not sport. Sport's not right. There's a sport aspect, but that are the martial arts, the martial, meaning war or fighting, art, and the beauty of it, the esoteric stuff, the aesthetics, you know. But then there's also something different, which is the practicality of the self-defense against the knife, against multiple attackers, against the bigger opponent, against somebody with another weapon like a baseball bat or a blackjack, a billy club, an expandable baton. And all you have is a stick that you can pick up anywhere off the street. Then you use techniques from the Filipino martial arts, but it's all about principles. Situational awareness, pay attention to what's happening. Better position, weapon between you and the threat. And then what targets you're gonna remove or destroy. And like I said, they can be up here, they can be to the body, they can be to the middle of the body, they can be to the side of the body, but practice those basic 3 techniques. Become a master of the basics. Strike 1, strike 2, and a jabbing strike 3. I want you to get really good at using the back end of the stick because almost everybody just thinks about this. So practice that. Strike, strike, strike.